About the might of Allah. Everything submits to Him, and everything exists by Him. He is the satisfaction of the poor, the dignity of the low, the energy for the weak, and shelter for the oppressed. Whoever speaks, He hears his speaking, and whoever keeps quiet, He knows his secret. On Him is the livelihood of everyone who lives, and whoever dies returns to Him. O Allah, the eyes have not seen you, so as to be aware of you, but you were before the describers of your creation. You did not create the creation on account of loneliness, nor did you make them work for gain. He whom you catches cannot go farther than you, and he whom you hold cannot escape you. He who disobeys you does not decrease your authority, and he who obeys you does not add to your might. He who disagrees with your judgment cannot turn it, and he who turns away from your command cannot do without you. Every secret before you is open, and for you every absent is present. You are everlasting, there is no end to you. You are the highest aim, there is no escape from you. You are the promised point of return, from which there is no deliverance except towards you. In your hand is the forelock of every creature, and to you is the return of every living being. Glory to you! How great is your creation that we see, but how small is His greatness by the side of your might. How awe-striking is your realm that we notice, but how humble is this against what is hidden from us out of your authority. How extensive are your bounties in this world, but how small are they against the bounties of the next world. Part of the same sermon about the angels. You, O Allah, made angels reside in your skies and placed them high above from your earth. They have the most knowledge about you and your whole creation, the most fearing from you and the nearest to you. They never stayed in loins, nor were retained in wombs. They were not created from mean water, semen. The Holy Quran, chapter 32, verse 8, chapter 77, verse 20. They were not dispersed by vicissitudes of time. They are on their places, distinct from you, and in their positions near you. Their desires are concentrated in you. Their worship for you is much. Their neglect from your command is little. If they witness what remains hidden about you, they will regard their deeds as very little. They will criticize themselves, and will realize that they did not worship you according to your right for being worshipped, and did not obey you as you have the right for being obeyed. About the bounties and guidance of Allah, and those who are ungrateful. Glorified are you, O Creator, the one worshipped by all, on account of your good trials of your creatures. You created a house, the paradise, and provided in it for feasting, drinks, food, spouses, servants, places, streams, plantations, and fruits. Then you sent a messenger to invite towards it, but the people did not respond to the caller, and did not feel persuaded to what you persuaded them, nor showed eagerness towards what you desired them to eagerly feel. They jumped on the carcass of this world, earned shame by eating it, and became united in loving it. When one loves a thing, it blinds him and sickens his heart. Then he sees but with a diseased eye, hears but with unhearing ears. Desires have cut asunder his wit, and the world has made his heart dead, while his mind is all longing for it. Consequently, he is a slave of it, and of everyone who has any share in it. Wherever it turns, he turns towards it, and wherever it proceeds, he proceeds towards it. He is not desisted by any disaster from Allah, nor takes admonition from any preacher. He sees those who have been caught in neglect, whence there is neither recession nor reversion, repentance. About death. Whatever they were ignoring has befallen them. Separation from this world, from which they took themselves safe, has come to them, and they have reached that in the hereafter that they had been promised. Whatever has befallen them cannot be described. Pangs of death and grief for losing this world have surrounded them. Consequently, their limbs became languid, and the complexion changes. Then death increases its struggle over them. In some, it stands in between him and his power of speaking, although he lies among his people, looking with eyes, hearing with his ears, with full wits and intelligence. He then thinks over how he wasted his life and in what activities he passed his time. He recalls the wealth he collected when he had blinded himself in seeking it and acquired it from fair and foul sources. Now the consequences of collecting it have overtaken him. He gets ready to leave it. It will remain for those who are behind him. they will enjoy it and benefit by it. It will be an easy acquisition for others, but a burden on his back, and the man cannot get rid of it. He will thereupon bite his hands with his teeth out of shame for what was disclosed to him about his affairs at the time of his death. He will dislike what he coveted during the days of his life, and he will wish that he who envied him on account of it, and felt jealous over him, for it should have amassed it instead of himself. Death will go on affecting his body, till his ears too will behave like his tongue, and lose functioning. So he will lie among his people, neither speaking with his tongue, or hearing with his ears. He will be rotating his glance over their faces, watching the movements of their tongues, but not hearing their speaking. Then death will increase its sway over him, and his sight will be taken by death, as the ears had been taken, and the spirit will depart from his body. He will then become a carcass among his own people. They will feel loneliness from him, and get away from him. He will not join a mourner or respond to a caller. Then they will carry him to a small place in the ground, and deliver him in it to face his deeds. They will abandon visiting him about the day of judgment, until whatever is written as ordained approaches it, and the affairs complete their destined limits. The posteriors join the anteriors, and whatever Allah wills takes place in the shape of resurrection of his creation. Then he will convulse the sky and split it. He will quake the earth and shake it. He will root out the mountains and scatter them. They will crush each other out of awe of his glory and fear of his dignity. He will take out everyone who is in it. He will refresh them after they had been worn out, and collect them after they had been separated. Then he will set them apart for questioning about the hidden deeds and secret acts. He will then divide them into two groups, rewarding one and punishing the other. As regarding the obedient people, he will reward them with his nearness, and will keep them forever in his house, from where those who settle the rain do not move out. Their status will not undergo change. Fear will not overtake them. Ailments will not befall them. Dangers will not affect them, and journey will not force them from place to place. As for people of sins, he will settle them in the worst place, will bind their hands with their necks, bind the forelocks with feet, and will clothe them in shirts of tar and dresses cut out of flames. They will be in punishment, whose heat will be severe. The door will be closed on the inmates in fire, which is full of shouts and cries and rising flames and fearful voices. Its inmate does not move out of it. Its prisoner cannot be released by ransom, and its shackles cannot be cut. There is no fixed age for this house, so that it might perish, nor period for its life, that might pass away. Part of the same sermon about the Holy Prophet. He treated this world disdainfully and regarded it low. He held it contemptible and hated it. He realized that Allah kept it away from him with intention and spread it out for others by way of contempt. Therefore, he remained away from it by his heart, banished its recollection from his mind, and wished that its attraction should remain hidden from his eye, so that he should not acquire any clothing from it, or hope for staying in it. He conveyed from Allah the pleas against committing sins, counseled his people as a warner against the divine chastisement, and he called people towards paradise as a conveyor of good tidings. About the descendants of the Holy Prophet. We are the tree of prophethood, staying place of the divine message, descending places of angels, minds of knowledge, and the sources of wisdom. Our supporter and lover awaits mercy, while our enemy and he who hates us awaits wrath.